Hey, this is Brian Stillman. I'm at NAB 2019 at the Jacob Javits Center in New York City. But you already knew that because you've been sticking around with me all morning. You've been watching all the interviews that we've been bringing you through BeTerrific and BeTerrific.com. I am here with Gonzalo Delfa. He is with GroupM Multicultural. They're doing some really interesting work that I will let him explain because it's a little bit complicated. It's about bringing a multicultural perspective to business in a way that expands audiences. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so 3 months ago we began with this initiative called New Majority Ready. The purpose was to change the narrative about what multicultural means, and it's based on a new reality of the US. So we decided to build a coalition. We invited 8 of the larger media partners led by GroupM. And basically what we're saying is there's a new majority in the US, there's a new reality of the population, and brands really need to take advantage of that in order to grow their business. So to be honest, it's kind of put it on the side the way we've been talking about multicultural or talking about minorities, because again, by 2020, people that are 18 years or younger are going to be majority non-white. So this is happening. I think the issue is that a lot of people were like, okay, yeah, I know what it is, I know what is happening, but it's going to come down the road. It's happening.
Right. So the question is, how do we reach this audience? How do you position your brand in a way where you connect with this audience in a way that that this audience can relate to, that you can integrate into your current business plan, into your current marketing plan? Tell me a little bit about that. What are we talking about here? It's not just simply saying, I want to target that member of the audience. It's about messaging. It's about the visuals you put out there. It's about all these different things. Walk me through that a little bit.
Yeah, so to what you were saying, it's not just a matter of recognizing that there's a change, it's actually acting upon that change. So what we're doing is talking to clients and analyzing what is the level of readiness that the brands they have are actually prepared for the new reality. So what we are doing, and actually we do it through a tool that we created, we identify those weak points that could be, the way they analyze the marketing mix, the way they allocate, budgets or resources, the way they measure the impact of what they are doing, and how they can improve those things, talking to this audience in an authentic and relevant way. Because again, this is not about segregating anybody, this is about being absolutely inclusive. So the purpose is, if you've been talking to the same audience over and over, and there's a change in the demographic of who your consumer is and who your consumer will be in the near future, if you don't talk to them, you're missing out. That is going to affect the bottom line of your business. So what we're saying is, you need to talk to anybody. You need to include any audience that is out there that is really the business opportunity or the growth opportunity for your brand. But now you're going to just, dump something out there and expect that it's going to stick. What you need is to be relevant and authentic, and we help them, communicate that message and also choose the right partners, the right content, the right context, in order for this message to really cut through.
Well, the classic example is trying to take your product and appeal to a younger market. You're not going to do something that doesn't feel authentic to youth. You're not going to partner with people that maybe a younger audience has never heard of. You're not going to use imagery that they've never seen. Yeah. Well, the same thing is being employed when reaching out to a more multicultural audience. Is it that type of
yes, so
strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. And what we feel is that, consumers today, particularly the younger consumers, they're really looking at brands for what the brand offers as a specific product, but also what that brand means. So if brands do not have a cause behind, it just becomes very vanilla. And to be honest, consumers today are a little bit tougher than what they used to.
Right.
So what we are saying is, we know that there's a change in the demographic. Again, that's a reality. You may like it or not, that's a whole different conversation. For us there's a change in the demographic, and you really need to take advantage in order for your business to grow. Because again, and I don't want to be throwing statistics, but if you look at the latest report from the census, which is few months old, the non-multicultural population did not grow. It's actually declining. The multicultural audiences, particularly Hispanic and Blacks, are the ones that are driving the growth of the population.
Right.
So if that is changing and you're looking at your brand for the next 5 years and you don't talk to these people, well, you're literally talking to an audience that is shrinking. So again, it's a tough change, and I know that people in general, they don't like change, but it's a change that needs to happen.
Well, what are some of the sort of mistakes that you see companies doing who say, okay, we recognize this as an audience, they haven't necessarily reached out to GroupM to ask how to do it. What are some of the mistakes that are commonly made that are perhaps easily avoidable if they had just sort of had someone to talk to kind of strategize how they want to make this shift?
That's a great question. Actually, I think that the biggest mistake is assuming that one message in what is so-called general market media, it's going to engage everybody. And there's a reality. We are in a moment of marketing where we are trying to talk almost at the one-on-one level. How could you actually assume that putting the same spot for everybody in, let's say, primetime television, it's going to engage everybody? It's not going to happen. I mean, it's not going to happen because it's so broad that a lot of people are going to say, you know what, that is not really for me, or they actually are not going to even realize that you're talking to them.
Right.
So the way we do it is trying to identify those places where the content is relevant for these audiences and then place something that is going to be relevant for the audience itself. So again, you cannot just slap something out there and expect that it's going to work because you are putting it and you have a lot of people watching. I always say the same. One thing is to engage eyes. Another thing is to really talk to the heart. So that is what makes the real difference. Again, you can get a huge reach, but you may not engage anybody.
Right. Well then, what is, in broad strokes, what's the anatomy of a success? What is, can you look at any companies you've worked with that really figured it out, that really did it right? And what were sort of the steps that they took? Can you walk us through it?
Yeah.
Briefly? I know every company is going to be different.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We have a lot of clients at GroupM that are really, top of the line in knowing how to engage all audiences, how to talk to them in a relevant way. I will put it this way, and it's a very simplistic, but I think it explains the case. Number one, you have to start avoiding putting labels before you actually start the process. So it's very common that you receive a brief and it says, I want to reach women 1849. And you may say, it makes sense. I mean, the product seems to be for women 1849. Now, what if it's not? How do you know? How can you guarantee before you start the process of understanding that audience just to put that label in the middle? So what we're saying is take all the labels out. Let's look at the overall universe and let's identify who are those people that represent the biggest opportunity for your brand, regardless of the labels. Now, once you identify that opportunity, then you start looking at two things. One is, what do these people have in common? And we mean by that the way they consume the product, the way they purchase this product, the way they consume media, the places where they go from a media perspective. And then, through those commonalities, you can drive efficiencies. Because again, everyone kind of feels that that is relevant. So there are some brands that, the product itself, it's all about health. And everyone feels that. It doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter your gender, your race, your age, your background. It's like, this is a healthy product. So that's a commonality. You need to take advantage of that and drive efficiencies through it. But then the part that we need to add is understanding the nuances. And the nuances could be actually related to the same things that are commonalities. Do everybody consume the product the same way? I may feel that my product is a snack, but I may have an audience that is consuming this product as dinner. If I talk to them as a snack, basically my message is being ignored because if I'm looking for a dinner product and you're talking to me about a snack, that is not for me. So when you understand the nuances and you can really identify those nuances, then you're driving effectiveness to the equation. And then you have the best of both worlds. Now, where we come in is doing this process, but also how you drive those nuances into an actionable, communication campaign is, where do I need to put my message? What is your message saying? Is that the right thing to put in front of these people? Do I need to have different messages depending on the media, depending on the platform, depending on the audience I'm talking to? Again, the word of having a 30-second spot and expecting that is your campaign and that is going to make everything for you, it doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
Today you need different pieces of creative, different assets, actually assets that may differ depending on the media, because again, there some media is going to help you communicate something while other ones
Right.
communicate something different.
It's really zeroing in, doing the research, having those discussions, and I like that idea of not labeling things until you actually know what it is you're dealing with.
Exactly. And adding as much data as you can. I mean,
Right.
we are living, as we've been talking about, in the data world. There's a ton of data out there. Today, you can actually find signals through different platforms
Right.
that can really pinpoint the perfect consumer for you. Now, what you need is, once you identify that audience and that perfect,
Sure,
customer, amplify that to do it at a scale level.
What kind of growth are we looking at over the next, 5, 10, 15 years in terms of the audiences that you're talking about?
So just to give you an idea, next year we're going to have the census. That is going to show a lot of the numbers. But we are expecting, and this is based on the last numbers,
Of course.
by 2024, people that are 34 years or younger are going to be non-white, the majority.
Right.
By 2040-ish, because it's been changing, we were talking about 2044, now we're talking about 2040, the overall U.S. population, it's going to be minority majority.
So it's really accelerating to the point where if you're a business and if this is an audience you want to tap into, and if you want to build a level of authenticity within this audience where you're recognized as almost a legacy brand within this audience, you've got to go now.
Yeah.
This isn't something you can really sit around and wait on.
Yeah, I think you made a great point, because a lot of brands out there, what they are kind of doing is like wait and see. They're like, you know what, let's see what the other ones do. Now, the problem with that is that when you wait, someone is going to eat the cake for you.
Right.
And the reality is that if you don't do it now, let's say, and you wait, those that are doing it, because there are many brands already doing it, they're going to become the loyal brand for those customers. And we all know that changing the behavior of a person that is already purchasing a brand, and you want to really be the one taking that space, it's going to cost you at least 5 times that engaging those people before they just made a decision.
Right, right. It's fascinating, and it really it says something about where we're moving, and it's certainly big changes for business. But if they want to keep up,
and
they've got to recognize.
And I would say it's fun, and to be honest, I really expect everyone to really take this in a serious way, because the chance of not doing something today, it's going to be extremely expensive if they react too late.
Well, Gonzalo, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Pleasure being here.
We are here, NAB 2019, New York City. I'm Brian Stillman with BeTerrific and BeTerrific.com. Check out BeTerrific Tech. You can see our Agility Quadriflex panels. These are new LED panels that we've created. They are lightweight, they are flexible, they are waterproof, they are daylight visible. They really are a great product if you're looking for electronic signage and display options. BeTerrific.tech, you can find it. Stick around, we'll have more coverage for you throughout the day. We'll be back.